Hey everyone, it is the start of a new year, and if you're new here, my name is Britney and I am a former professional photographer turned passionate user experience practitioner who still loves talking about all things photography and business-y related. Today I wanted to talk about websites. Specifically, photography websites, and more specific to that, setting up your photography website on PixieSet. I've talked a lot about PixieSet in the past, and usually I'm comparing the system against others, but today PixieSet gets all of the spotlight because its website feature has intrigued me since the very beginning of time, or at least since I learned about it a few years ago. Before I jump into my intrigue, a little bit about PixieSet for those that may not be familiar. PixieSet is largely known for their client gallery offerings and the ease at which they allow photographers to upload and share their images with clients. It's a super convenient service, very easy to use, clean design, and they are moving in an all-encompassing direction where photographers can sign up and have access to the client gallery services, the shop, a website, and their studio manager for contracts and invoices. When I was first looking at PixieSet years ago, I couldn't help but think about how beneficial it might be for new photographers who may not have the resources to pay for all of the individual platforms, like their website provider, client relationship manager, and a client gallery service. I mean, it ends up being a lot of money for even seasoned professionals, so having PixieSet be a one and done type of system is pretty cool for everyone. Pairing all of that with the fact that we're celebrating a new year, which always sees new businesses popping up thanks to the feelings of untethered ambition, it felt really obvious that I needed to explore the PixieSet website feature a little deeper. As always with my videos, I will have categories that I'm going to be looking at. While I won't be comparing PixieSet against other website services, I do still want to give some sort of chapters for easy video navigation. Our first category is going to be pricing. Yes, I have gone over PixieSet's pricing many times, but I love breaking down pricing pages. I consider it an accidental hobby at this point, so we'll be going over it one more time. After pricing, we'll be looking at theme options, and I'll be discussing some design elements to think about when picking a theme, not just for PixieSet, but any website design you might be eyeing up. Once we pick our theme, I'll be working through setting up a homepage and just chatting about some different user experience elements while customizing. Lastly, we'll look at their search engine optimization section to see if it covers everything a photographer would need for ranking. As with every video, the categories and ideas expressed are my own. You may have a totally different experience or idea about what I should be looking at, and that is totally fine. I appreciate and respect your opinion, and I hope you can appreciate and respect mine. Feel free to leave me a comment with your experience, and I am eager to hear your thoughts on PixieSet and their website system, so let's chat. Also, I think it's always good to note that PixieSet has no idea who I am or that I am doing this video. I have looked at and judged their system a lot at this point, and this is just another entry into my photography system catalog. Now that all of that is out of the way, let's jump right into our first category, money bags, aka pricing. Okay, so with PixieSet, I've said it before and I will continue to say it, their pricing page is a lot. They have multiple tabs because they offer all of their different services individually, but then they also offer them as a bundle, and the bundle makes it look like you're getting a whole lot more, but realistically, they are including some elements like their store and mobile app in that bundle, which is also included in the client gallery individually. Like I said, it's a lot. I know they want to set themselves apart from their competitors, but I also think they need to simplify things somehow. Also, they should make the pricing a sticky element so that when we scroll, we can have the pricing remain at the top of the page as a nice reminder of the costs for each tier. I think it's obvious I do not enjoy their pricing page, and I don't think I'm the only one, right? Anywho, let's view the pricing page as if we are looking to lay down roots for our photography business and we need all the things with their full application suite. Their most popular option is the $38 a month billed annually, and I have to say you get a good amount of items in this tier that will probably last you an equally as good amount of time. 2,000 gigabytes of images alone is really amazing, and depending on how many weddings and sessions you do in a year, that 2K should take you far. Most of my weddings that I delivered would be about 5 to 8 gigs, so if we average that in the middle of 6.5, I'd be able to host just over 300 weddings with that space. For the website in this middle tier, you get unlimited pages and blog posts, you can remove some of the PixieSet branding, and you get more font and color options. The Studio Manager, which is a CRM system with contracts and invoices, is as equally freeing as all the other applications within this middle tier. You have unlimited everything, the ability to do tips, and remove the PixieSet branding again. You get full reign over your store and mobile gallery app regardless of the tier that you choose, so we don't need to break down those sections much. They're pretty straightforward. If you're just starting out or you're looking to minimize your workflow applications, this $38 a month billed annually price tag is really fantastic. To break it down more, you'd be billed $456 total for the client gallery, the Studio Manager, and the website. I'm leaving off the store and mobile app because that's just really fluff for their features list. To compare it, my client gallery alone cost me $408 a year. My website cost me $272 a year, and my Studio Manager is a custom-built system that my husband did, so the cost is unique. But let's play pretend and say I used Dubsado just for normalcy's sake. That would be $200 a year. So my grand total for a year of those three services is $880. The gap in those two costs is so large, I'm feeling like I messed up something in my adding, but I don't think I did. So yeah, basically, if my math is correct, you're saving a lot, and you're getting the chance to get a professional look and system all wrapped into one convenient spot. Speaking of that professional look, let's move on to our second category, theme dreams, or options if you don't like my category naming conventions. So what is initially presented on the Getting Started page is 12 different themes with not much direction except to view the demo or apply the theme. They mention not to worry and that you get to change this later, but that's not terribly descriptive. Does that mean I can swap themes, or does it mean I can make changes to any theme I want? Just telling me not to worry isn't going to stop me from worrying. I just like a bit more detail on this page. I'm not looking for anything extreme like a 3-page guide or pop-ups with tips, but maybe you can swap and customize every theme at any point would keep the simplicity but be a bit more pointed. Reason being is because I'm looking at some of these themes and just thinking, if I can't change this part about the site, I cannot use this theme. Specifically, I'm looking at 6 out of the 12 themes that feature full-size header images where the navigation overlaps the image. This is tricky, mainly because you might not have a specific image that will allow for the navigation to be clear for your users. You can see an example of how easy it is to lose the navigation with a busy background from the stock image of the Stanley theme. These small tiles with stars on them make the navigation hard to see and can easily tank your user experience. It's already difficult to figure out what images to feature on your site. Now you have to make sure it doesn't interfere in any way with your main navigation bar. Flames. The other 6 themes all have the navigation separated from the main image, which works a lot better for accessibility. You always want your main navigation to be clear for your users. It's a grounding element that users need to be able to see, and it being on a solid background is an easy way to guarantee that your site has a crucial element taken care of. Popping into the demo of some of these themes doesn't really give much information on whether there are different variations for the preset pages. When shopping for designs from Showit or WordPress designers, typically there's a few different variations of some of the high traffic pages that you can view through the demo. But PixieSet just gives a true walkthrough of a site. So there's really no telling what is even possible within each theme. Also, just real quick, PixieSet needs more diversity in their sample photos. I don't care that these are just examples and that the images won't be sticking around in anyone's final design. It's pretty one note at the moment. Overall, if you're someone hopping into PixieSet and not looking to make a ton of changes to a theme or spend too long making decisions, I'd steer clear of the themes that have the navigation overlapping the main header image. Now, if you're cool with making some changes, then the original "Don't worry" at the top of the template page comes into play. Because, spoiler alert, each theme can in fact be customized with different blocks, and there are variations for some pages. I wish they included some variations in the demo, but I already vented enough about it, so I'm not going to waste any time. Even though I was told not to worry, I am going to pick one of the templates I am worried about and see what we can do with it, which will take us right into our next category, site building and customization. So I chose Montreal for my template, but we're going to be messing around with swapping templates a little bit first, just to show off that feature. So we're going to go into the Design tab, scroll over the thumbnail of our theme, and click Change Theme. I do want to stick with Montreal, but I also do want to see how the swapping works, so let's choose Milo. So here's just a quick reminder of the homepage for Milo. Keep this design of Milo in mind because we're going to be talking more about it now, because the swap template for Milo doesn't look anything like the demo does, which also took me by surprise the first couple of times I tried swapping templates. The trick with this is that you have to go all the way to the top of the right corner of the screen and click on the Change Layout button. This seems to reset the header so that it fixes the appearance to match how the chosen template looked in the demo. I don't want to commit to the Milo template, I just wanted to show this little oddity, so we're going to swap back to Montreal. Oh, you can also fully reset the site by going up to the Settings cog, clicking on Advanced, scrolling down, and selecting Reset Site, and then typing in the input box Reset. After that, you'll be taken back to the theme picking page where you can start all over again. Back to our chosen theme though, I'm first going to go through and remove any pages from my site structure and navigation that I feel aren't needed for my website, which is really easy to do. Just hit the trio of buttons next to the page name and click Delete. Now that that's done, I want to focus on the ability and flexibility to make changes. So my main complaint with this template is the fact that the navigation bar overlaps the full page header image, making it potentially hard to see if you don't have the correct type of image to use as the header. Again, we want the navigation to be as clear and as visible as possible, so I'm hoping we can do away with the full header completely. Clicking through the variation layouts available for this theme, there is a pretty modern alternative that allows for a call to action and informational text to appear above the fold of the site, meaning when a user visits, they'll see this information without having to scroll. I do really like the feeling of this heading instead of a full image, so I'm going to stick with this one. It is also possible to change the entire page template by coming over to the trio of buttons next to the Home Site menu listing and selecting Switch Template. There's a lot of full page variations that are geared towards certain pages, but if you like About Bee's layout for your homepage, there is nothing stopping you from using that template and making your information fit a more homepage vibe. If I were to be putting my images on the page, I'm not, but I do want to show an example because this header in particular is rather interesting. Each image added to the header will need to have its title, subtitle, and button text set. It's great if you plan to have a rotating welcome message. If you don't plan to do that, just make sure those text elements are identical so that they don't cause any oddities when auto-scrolling. I need to do some editing of the blocks on this page, so I'm just going to scroll through and remove anything that seems unnecessary for my homepage. Like this section reiterating the location, we already have this set in our heading, so I'm going to delete this and get it out of our way along with some other items that just make the page feel too long. I'm also going to change the look of the carousel of images by clicking the image and selecting Auto Crop. This changes the images from filling the page to being a little bit smaller and freeing up some real estate. I do like this section welcoming the user to the page and introducing the business owner, but I want it higher on the page, so I'm going to drag it to the top just under the header and move this blog entry post that is similarly designed down to the bottom of the page. I may get rid of this block later. I haven't decided yet. Now that all of that is done, the page is overall starting to get to my liking. But I do want to add a little services section under the heading. So let's dive into adding and customizing blocks. To add a block, we'll click the teal plus icon under our header section, and then we'll scroll through some of the pre-made block options available to us. There are two types of blocks that PixieSet has available. Simple blocks, which isn't the official name, it's just a name I came up with because calling them blocks seemed a little too vague. And then there are flex blocks. The simple blocks don't have much customization ability. What you see is what you get with them, and they definitely come in handy for some elements that I'll highlight in a little bit. Flex blocks, on the other hand, offer a different level of customization that is fairly creatively freeing. For my site, I'm looking for a services section that will allow me to give a brief description of what I offer that is finished off with a call to action to go to my pricing. I'm not entirely sold on any of the available simple blocks, since none of them have the correct combo of text plus a CTA to guide users. So I'm going to create what I need using a flex block. There are a ton of pre-made flex blocks ready to be used and customized as well, but I'm interested in creating my own. We can make that happen by scrolling down and selecting the blank block option. The beauty of flex blocks is that there is no coding at all. It's all drag and drop, which for someone like me, who is just a little infant in understanding code, is a total dream come true. Within the editor, we can add any element that we want. I want this to be a service listing section with a singular CTA to entice and excite potential clients, so it'll be rather simple. We'll add the first text element, which is just an introductory title for this section. Then we'll create another text element for our services and a brief description. We can drag this wherever we want within the flex block. We can make it smaller or bigger, and we can edit the text as needed, add the proper heading, and fix the paragraph sizing. With that element set, I'm just going to duplicate this 2 more times and line them all up nice and even. I'll finish everything up with a button at the bottom that will link to my pricing page, and we just created a custom block. Super easy and honestly, kind of fun. There's also some basic elements that I would like to have on the page, like a features block under my image scroll carousel, which the simple blocks can and do take care of. After selecting the feature block I like, you can see the only customizing I can do is changing the color scheme, padding, and then of course updating the links. Nothing fancy, but quick and effective for my site. Those are the main 2 block types available. Now for flex blocks, there's also the ability to edit the pre-made ones. So if there's something you aren't quite jiving with in one of the pre-mades, you can make some adjustments without having to recreate it all over from scratch. One of the things I want on my homepage is a little scrolling testimonial section. I'm not too keen on the simple blocks or making a flex block from scratch, so I'm going to take the design of this testimonial slider 3 flex block and make some changes. Within the editing of this block, my first order of business is getting rid of the background image. Within the cog settings icon in the upper right corner, there is the toggle for the background image. I'm going to flip that off, easy enough, but now the text is invisible, which is a huge problem. Popping in while editing this video, I realized I never tried swapping the color schemes to the lighter themes to see if that would autofix the text color and be faster than manually changing all the colors. So I wanted to try that before pushing this video out of the nest. The answer to my question is no, that doesn't work. Something feels maybe broken in that department. Just wanted to chime in with that. Glad I tried it, and back to the original video. Before messing with the text, and while I'm still in the block setting menu, I'm going to just change the color scheme of this block. That helps me make the block stand out from the stark white and allows me to see all the elements I need to change the color of. I correct the text color so that it's visible for users, and an important note for slider items, Each slide needs to go through and have corrections made, so just keep that in mind if you do something similar in a PixieSet's site. With that block done, I'm feeling really good about this homepage. It checks a lot of the main boxes that a homepage should have. It has a main header for our big SEO keyword, subtitle areas for H2 and secondary keywords. We have plenty of call to action buttons that stand out and clearly direct our users. There's plenty of content areas where we can genuinely express our expertise in the field, and the structure flows really well without feeling like it's too much for the user. Oh, also, you may be wondering why the fonts are so large. I'm not quite sure why the default of this page is ginormous fonts, but we can correct that by heading into the Design tab, clicking Fonts, selecting Edit, and adjusting everything accordingly. A good note for accessibility is to keep your text larger than 10 pixels. Some fonts may need to be larger than 12, but most just need to be bigger than 10. I know smaller fonts can look sophisticated and neat, but you really want your site to be legible, so just make sure nothing is mouse-sized. The editing is the same with the colors on the site, which is actually pretty interesting because you can click on each scheme for the site and adjust the particular elements, like button text, according to that scheme. So for the light scheme, I want the CTA buttons to be a blue color. So I'll make adjustments in there and you can see the changes happen right away. Super simple and really intuitive. From there, it's just a few tweaks here and there that need to be done. Some spacing things that I missed earlier or don't like now that the fonts are changed. It's super easy to make those corrections and get everything to a point that I am happy with. I do want to tack on that there are some window resizing issues when it comes to some of the custom elements, so just make sure before you publish that all your text and elements are responsive. I'm having some issues with this services title, so I'll correct that by giving the text box some more space. Also, our header image slightly overlaps some of our header text. This is a bit trickier to fix, but I think it can be corrected by adjusting the header text size. I could set up the remaining pages of this entire site, but then the video would just end up being 3 hours long, and I'm not sure anyone would care to see all that. So with my pretty homepage set, let's just imagine that the rest of the site is beautiful and ready, and the only thing remaining is to get our site search engine ready. Bringing us to our final section, Search Engine Optimist Primed. I will not apologize for that category name. It popped in my head so fast and I really enjoyed it. Anyway, back to SEO. There's a few options for getting your site search optimized. We'll start with the ability to update each page individually by clicking on the trio of dots in the site sidebar area and selecting Settings. You'll be able to see a search preview, set your slug title, write your page descriptions for each page that appears on your site, and hide the page from searches if you don't want it indexed. There's also a pretty cool page status dropdown that allows for password protection as well. Your site's SEO can also be handled under the sidebar menu by clicking on the Settings cog icon. We can see there is a tab for SEO Manager, which is great. It's a very simple manager that is basically just a place for your various page titles and page descriptions, so that search engines can index your site and its various pages. PixieSet does have an advanced SEO section that is really just a quick check to make sure the site is nicely optimized. If we click on any of these tabs, we can get more information, which I love that PixieSet breaks this down into simple terms and lets us know that they are taking care of it. It's one less thing for us to worry about when we're just starting out. Realistically, if we have our page titles, descriptions, and each of our different keywords set in our headings on our various pages, our site on PixieSet should have pretty solid on-page SEO, which is when the content on your site is optimized for search engines. As you grow, you may want to expand your SEO tactics, but for right now, this gets people on the right track. I'd also advise anyone to set up Google Analytics and put your ID in under the Tracking and Analytics tab on PixieSet, just so you can start getting an idea of what approaches in your optimization are working and what may need to change. We can also create a blog on PixieSet, which if your website is going to live on PixieSet, I definitely would recommend using their blog. Just keeping everything under the same roof is really going to make your workflow feel seamless. I haven't played much with the blog, but it seems just as quick and easy as everything else has been. I love that they have different variations for the content layout. If anyone is interested in knowing more about the PixieSet blog, I can definitely do an extensive dive into it. But right now, I'm focused on the website, so let's get back to that. Once everything is finished, we are ready to launch. I'm not taking this site live because I don't need a photography site to be live, but if the process to launching is as easy as the building has been, it's going to be very simple. Everything about the PixieSet website feels extremely well thought out for the busy business owner. What I mean by that is that the prep, the designing, the final touches, the technical aspects are all very bite-sized, and in my opinion, aren't overwhelming. Each piece of the process feels manageable, and as a fellow business owner, I know how many hats are worn and how little headspace there is for all of them on any given day. The PixieSet website makes it easy to sit down, dedicate maybe 2 to 3 hours, and have a full site ready to roll out. I've designed, developed, and optimized sites for WordPress and Showit, and I know those are two very different and much more advanced beasts. They are trusted systems, which helps ensure that your site is trusted by searches. But honestly, if I had the choice, I would point all of the photographers I have done digital transformation work for to this system. I'm probably going to say something that might make some people mad, but the design capability of the PixieSet website creator rivals some of the best template designs for WordPress and Showit. Sorry. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Were you aware that PixieSet had this capability, or have you used PixieSet for your website? I'd love to read about your experience in the comments. I'm also curious about the transferring of a website off of PixieSet. I didn't get into that at all because this video was already feeling a bit long, but I'd be curious if PixieSet's flexibility with the growing photographer. As always, if you have any systems that you'd like me to take a look at, feel free to also share those in the comments. Again, the opinions shared in this video are my own and were formed as I journeyed through the PixieSet website creation process. If you are intrigued by this system, I encourage you to do your own experiments and try them out for yourself before investing or writing it off. I hope you enjoyed this video and will consider liking and subscribing to my channel for more deep dives into other systems and discussions of all things photography and web related. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.